Hey everyone, and welcome to today's tutorial. Today we are going to be working with an Echo Park collection called Remember the Magic. We're going to have the 12x12 collection kit, the coordinating cardstock, the chipboard, puffy stickers, the adhesive brads, and the die cut pieces. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you guys the papers here. This also includes the 12x12 sticker sheets, and there are 12 pattern papers. They are all double-sided. Each side is different, and I believe there are 3 journaling card 12x12 papers in here. Okay, so we are making 4 pages today, so we are going to need 4 background pages and 2 accent papers, along with 4 sheets of coordinating cardstock. So 2 of one color, and then I believe I improvised this cutting guide and I used instead of two of two colors, I used 2 of one color, and then another color and another color, so 3 different colors. So here, first of all, what I'm going to be doing is just taking out our journaling cards. I at one point considered doing like some journaling card, like some pocket pages with these, but I didn't take a Disney trip in 2012. I don't really know how I would fit it into that scrapbook that I'm doing, and I don't want to make pages for no reason. So I was hoping that maybe I could improvise this kit a little bit to be maybe like a birthday party or a celebration type thing. So I might try and come up with that angle, but I'm just not sure if I'm going to be able to do that. So I eliminated those 3 sheets, and we are going to use some of the journaling cards on our pages today. And now I'm just kind of going through the papers and seeing what I like. So the primary colors here is like that light blue kind of color, the red, the yellow, also like a craft color, and black. So I wanted to focus here on red, and my background pages, I kind of wanted to incorporate some of the yellows and the blues. I kind of wanted to stay away from the craft color. Okay, so I went ahead and picked 2 red papers for my background, and then I really liked that bluish green, like very small striped paper there as an accent, because I thought it would stick out really, really well on the background pages I have chosen. And then what I did is for my other 2 background papers, I decided to go with like a black based background that incorporated all the other colors in it as well. Okay, so picking my second accent color was a little bit harder because all the rest of the pages that were left were very busy, and they weren't the right colors. And here I liked this paper, but it was all about food. It was too much about food for me, so I didn't really want to focus that for my pages either. And I found that these 2 accent papers sort of were very similar in color, and they almost didn't seem to work out well enough with my background pages, but I did feel like there was enough options on both sides of these accent papers that I'd be able to get away with a little bit more. So we're going to go ahead and give it a go just the way it is here, and we'll get started with our cutting guide. We have cutting diagrams in my tutorial videos, and I just kind of want to let you know how to read them. So there's the number in top in inches, and that's going to be the size that we're going to cut that cut piece into. And there's a number below it in a circle. So a lot of the times we're making 4 pages or 6 pages when we're using these cutting diagrams, and all these cut pieces can sort of get very disorganized. So that number inside of the circle there represents a pile that you're going to put that cut piece into. So for a 4-page tutorial, we're going to make 4 piles. And for a 6-page tutorial, we're going to make 6 piles. So the numbers are going to be either 1 through 4 or 1 through 6. So page 1 is going to have all the cut pieces that have a circle with the number 1 inside, and so on for the 4 or 6 pages. So now we're going to go ahead and take all pieces of our cardstock, and we are going to cut 1 inch in 1 inch from the top and 1 inch from the bottom. And we're going to make a straight line on all 4 sides of each of these pieces of cardstock. What we're basically doing is cutting a 10 by 10 inch square out of the center of this piece of cardstock. The border is going to be put into our pile, and the center, the 10 by 10 inch center, is going to be put to the side, and we're going to be cutting it with another cutting diagram as soon as we're done cutting out all of these squares. Now we're going to go ahead and cut the backgrounds for our pages. So we are going to be cutting the barcode strip off along with 1/2 inch and then 1/2 inch on the other side. So we're going to be making an 11.5 inch by 11.5 inch square for all of our background papers. Okay, so for this layout, this balloon paper here is actually cut 2.5 inches too short from my mistake in the cutting guide. So yours should be longer if you are doing this exactly the way I'm doing it. But I'm going to leave mine the way it is. I'm not going to replace the paper. I'm just going to use the layout as is with a shorter version of that paper. So normally when I'm building the pages here, we just have music on. I'm not doing any talking, but I really need your guys' advice. So I figured I'd ask some questions and hopefully get some feedback from you guys. I am by no means a Disney expert, and we are planning a vacation to Disney World in December, like early December, before the holidays. So I need some advice from you guys. Typically we like to go to like a theme park, but then we like to just have our quiet time in the evening or in the mornings, depending on what we're doing. We like to kind of get away from all the hustle of everything. So in my mind, I think we want to stay not at Disney. So we want to stay at a non-Disney hotel. My big issue with that is that I'm worried that we're not going to be able to schedule things nicely because we would only have our 30-day fast pass window instead of our 60-day fast pass window. So I want advice from you guys, like, is the 30-day versus 60-day fast pass window, is this a big deal? Is it important? I'm hoping that it's not going to be super crazy busy at the beginning of December. So I'd love any kind of advice you guys have. And if we do stay at Disney, we're thinking like probably the Wilderness Lodge. We're going to have a rental vehicle. So driving is, we're not going to need the transportation system. So I have no problem like having to drive to Disney every day. So any advice like you have, I would totally love. And so here we're gonna I'm just unpacking everything to get ready to do our pages. So as you can see, there's lots of die cut pieces. Another thing to note is that I pre-cut all of my journaling cards along with my spare pieces of cardstock. And I noticed, which I didn't even notice until I went to go put it on my page, is that the decorative brads you'll see in a minute are actually not brads anymore. They're like, afterwards I read the packaging and they're called adhesive brads. So they are like the brads that they were before, but they are adhesive on the back instead of a brad, which I kind of love because I hate how the brads would always sort of pinch the paper, or they would kind of crinkle it in a little bit. So I really like it, and I like that when I put the brad on, I'm not as committed as I was when I had to like pierce a hole through my paper. So anyways, I'm kind of happy about this new change that Echo Park did with their brads. I'm not sure if they did it across the board or if this was just like a special circumstance. So on my layout here, I decided instead of doing a horizontal 4x6 photo, I was going to do 2 vertical 4x6 photo areas. And I liked the idea of putting this banner here, and I adhered that directly to the card, to the paper. And then I popped up this Ferris wheel because I wanted a little bit of height difference against the other element. And then I layered the other carousel behind that, but kind of offset it a little bit. And I used this red journaling card that says "Happiness is where you are," along with another little amusement park ride beside it. Okay, so most of my layout ended up being at the bottom of those 4x6 photo areas. So I wanted to find something to put at the top there, but I found it difficult to like pick kind of one thing that was going to be relevant to my pictures and sort of work up there still. So I ended up finding this arrow that I totally loved that said "Fun this way." And then I just, as you can see here, I went to pierce the brad and realized it was not a brad at all. And as you can see here, it says adhesive brads on the paper, which I didn't even think about when I ordered it or opened up the packaging. And so I really love that. So anyways, I use these brads to kind of finish off some of the elements there, and we're moving on to our next page. So this is actually our page 4 of the cutting guide, and I eliminated that 2-inch piece of paper, a pattern paper, because I just didn't think that the plaid paper really looked good on this page, and everything sort of blended in together really like a lot on this page besides the background paper. So for my elements that I was putting on this page, I kind of liked the idea of these black borders, so I put in that 3x3 photo mat on this page beside that 3x4 photo. It filled that area nicely, and you could always add another photo to a Disney layout or Disney themed layout. And then I put some balloons and some other elements kind of around that cluster, around this centralized photo area. And then I love that banner that says "Magical," and I felt like it sort of was right in the center of those photos, and it actually, the sizing of that element really worked well underneath that 4x6 photo and above that 3x4 photo. I didn't love that the 3x4 photo and the 3x3 photo were the same height. So as you can see, I tried to bring that 3x4 photo area down more, but then it left like a gap underneath that magical banner, and I didn't really like that. So I decided to fill up that bottom area underneath those photos with some smaller elements and some adhesive brads and puffy stickers. Okay, so there was a big blank area on the top of this 3x4 photo area, which I thought would be perfect to fit in a large element that had like a quote on it. And I loved that quote that I ended up putting there. And it just felt like this layout would look really well if most of the elements were like black. So I tried to use color as my as sort of like what tied in all the elements together. And as you can see here, I kind of put them in a triangle formation on the page around that 4x6 photo area. And I actually find that the banner that says hooray doesn't stand out on the page as much as a banner normally does, just because I feel like the black elements are what kind of pop off the page. And I like that the striped background in that square piece behind the 4x6 photo and 3x4 photo is very subtle, and you can layer stuff nicely on top of it. Okay, and then here I'm just kind of playing around trying to create a cluster and put elements around that quote area. And it's always tricky with arrows to try and get them to point in a direction that isn't like it's off on its own. It sort of almost redirects the eye back to the pictures and what you or the journaling or the quote, that titling that you want to use. And then I just finished it off with a bunch of stars and elements like that around the page. Okay, so moving on to our last layout, which would be, I think, our page number 3. So our final page here incorporates a lot of plain cardstock, in my opinion. I often get criticized for liking pattern paper too much and not utilizing cardstock enough on my layouts. But to me, this is too much red cardstock, or plain. It's too much plain on the surface. So for this layout, I really try to use that plainness, or use that plain background as a place, I guess, that I could put a busier elements. But here I don't necessarily love that there's so much of that red cardstock, and now looking back at it, I wish I probably would have cut it down, maybe made it a little bit narrower and a little bit shorter. But I mean, I guess one takeaway from it is that it is easy to layer embellishments on top of it because it isn't so busy. So here I kind of wanted to incorporate a little bit more of that bluish green color. So I had that dreams come true castle right in the middle, along with that quote that says every moment spent with you is magic. And then I just wanted to incorporate a few more elements that were kind of in that color range and that were like theme park related. And so here I kind of did most of my embellishments at the bottom of those photo areas, and then just one in that top corner where the 4x6 photo is, where there's that plainer cardstock. And I finished it off with the adhesive brads and went from there. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's tutorial. We will see you next Friday with another tutorial video. Have a great weekend.